Hey y'all, let me know when you are getting logged in, if you can hear me and everything. Thanks so much for joining me this afternoon. This is Get Lucid TV. It's episode 11. Let me know who's tuned in, where you're tuning in from, if you're a lucid dreamer, if you practice lucid living, what you're excited about with this episode. What you want to know more about, and as always, give me the hashtag live if you're watching live, hashtag replay if you're tuning in on the replay, a hashtag GLTV fan if you've been following along for this whole series, and give me a hashtag new if you're new to this, if you haven't tuned into this before, so that I can form that connection between us. So today I want to really talk about lucid living, in particular lucid language, and how to really bring that kind of lucidity into our lives. I think the two words that really sum up lucidity without directly using that phrase is clarity and awareness. When we practice lucid living, we're essentially bringing more clarity, more awareness into our day-to-day life. And when we're doing that, as long as you're doing it, in a healthy, balanced, wholesome practice, it's just going to bring you more happiness, more appreciation, more gratitude into your every day today. So let me ask you this. How many times in your life do you feel that you've maybe simply just taken things for granted? It's a bit of a difficult question, but where I'm going with this is, maybe you've experienced some of those relationships where you're just floating along, doing your everyday life thing, maybe coming home, going to work, or perhaps you're kind of just on that like autopilot mode, right? And then suddenly this person that you're in a relationship with, maybe they're your spouse, your significant other, maybe just a housemate, they suddenly tell you they've had enough. They've moved on, or you were just in that situation where suddenly they're moving out, they're on this whole other timeline to you, and maybe you didn't even recognize that that was going on. Maybe you didn't have that awareness to see this kind of thing happening right before your very eyes. You didn't have that clarity to understand where things started going wrong. So this is just one example of something that I know comes up for a lot of people in terms of taking things for granted, our relationships. But there's so many more things, right, that many of us take for granted, and it feels particularly heightened, at least for me. Let me know if you feel into this too, but in our current political climate, everyone's getting so focused in on what we don't have, rather than what we do have, what we already have in our lives. One example of that is, do you take for granted the country that you live in? Do you take for granted having things like a roof over your head? Being employed in 2020, right? So many people lost their jobs. So part of the lucid living is practicing that awareness around these simple everyday things. I'm an immigrant, so I'm so grateful to be living in America, this country of opportunity for an immigrant like myself. It's a land that truly allows me to dream really, really big. Yeah, it's not perfect, but I'm aware that there's some countries where if you're a woman, you're pretty much just a childbearing machine, right? Not that there's anything wrong with that. Some people choose to be a mom, or they want to be a full-time mom in that role, and that's fine. But the difference is, for the most part, that, you're choosing that. The choice is there, right? That's the key word, is that they're choosing to do that by choice if they're taking on that role in the US. So I believe that when we start to really appreciate these everyday things that life is giving us, we're honoring that kind of greater part of ourselves. Call it the higher self, God, Allah, our soul, the universe, whatever words you want to put to it. So it's easy to see what we're taking for granted and what we appreciate when we start comparing it to other people. How many of you have gone to someone else's house, seen their living situation, or heard what someone else does for a living, and you've realized how truly blessed you are? Give me an I have in the comments, and join in on this if you're on replay as well. Give me an I have in the comments if that resonates with you. For most of us tuned into this right now, I'd imagine that you have a lot of what you need at the click of a button, right? We've got the means of getting through a pandemic without even leaving our home. Groceries can be delivered. Literally any item you can think of, right, can come through now in terms of using stuff like Amazon. It blew my mind a couple of weeks ago when we decided to order food online, just through, like Uber Eats or one of those delivery apps. So recently I've been driving to pick stuff up because I'm learning to drive on the wrong side of the road. But we ordered through this app, and you can actually select the option to just get a person to drop the food off right at your door and then leave, and then just notify you that it's there. So now you don't even have to make contact with the delivery person if you don't want to, right? And look, I'm not saying, everything is perfect. We all definitely have our struggles. Life's a fucking struggle, isn't it? And every day we're facing new challenges. So it's easy to forget how we have these options, like we can order food at the click of a button. And then in contrast to that, there's, kids in other countries right now who are literally starving to death. It's such a massive contrast and such a, incredible thing that I'm sure so many of you, like myself, take that kind of thing for granted. I know I've felt frustrated even before when, a delivery is just taken too long, or, it's something's wrong in the order. They missed something out, right? Even though the food's being delivered directly to me, I'm annoyed because it's not fast enough. So we take shit for granted, right? Don't we? We all do it. And that's why I believe it's really important to at least try to learn the fundamentals of lucid living, really cultivating that awareness and the appreciation that can go into our day-to-day lives. And the language that we use in everything makes a massive difference in our lives, right? How often do you hear yourself complaining about a task that maybe doesn't have to be a complaint? Oh, I have to go and meet so-and-so for a coffee. If you're a mom, maybe it's like, oh, I've got to go and pick up the kids from practice. Got to go cook dinner for the hubby, for the wife, right? So I believe that step one to really starting up a lucid living practice can be as simple as really paying attention to that language that we use. Maybe it's like programmed and built into us. Instead of those things, switching it up to something as simple as, oh, I can't wait to go and meet so-and-so for coffee now that we're not in lockdown anymore. Isn't that great? Oh, I'm so looking forward to hearing how my kids' practice went today. For me, it'd be like, Brian, that's my husband, he so deserves, a delicious meal to come home to. He's been working so hard for us. Things like, I'm so grateful to just have a roof over my head. I'll honor that by keeping my space clean. These kind of things, this language is needed for that lucid living practice. My husband's one of those people who's had so many jobs, right? He's one of those done everything kind of guys. He's worked in private equity and he's also cleaned windows. And I'm the same. I've started up my own company. I now work for myself in my dream business, but I've also spent time mopping floors at 1 a.m. And I'd like you to take a moment and just think about what's the most annoying job you've ever had in your life. These are the ones that really stick out. There's no forgetting about this shit, okay? And I want you to type it in the chat, share this with me in the comments, but alongside it, in a single word, I want you to just share what that job taught you. What did that job give to you? Maybe it's resilience. Maybe it was diligence. Maybe it was just pure responsibility, right? What did it give you? I'm going to have a look through in a minute, or look through after, and see what you share. Because, by the way, if you're watching on replay, again, still do this. I do go through and read through and reply to all the comments. But I know for me, some of the worst jobs that I ever did gave me that money and the support to go on and do something incredible. Or some of the coworkers I interacted with taught me those life lessons that built a part of who I am today. So part of this is kind of like that reflection process. Even the things that we maybe think are kind of shitty, unfair, like the worst jobs in the world, or maybe you're even in a job right now that you fucking hate. Doing something like this kind of reflection really adds value to your life. It keeps you in that space where you recognize this is valuable too. I know that this is something valuable for me. Because it's way too easy to just feel stuck and place blame on absolutely everything else, right? Well, stuff's shit because, Trump's president, or it's because my mom never taught me that stuff, or it's because my teacher in that area sucked. If my parents weren't like this or like that, I wouldn't have had to work that job in the first place, right? But when we take a moment to really reflect on what got us to where we are today, we can just bring back in that lucidity, that awareness of all that we're grateful for right now. How we're so blessed today, right? Now I'm living so much of my dream. I have my dream job. I coach in lucid dreaming and lucid living practices. I help people bring their personal dreams and their businesses to life. It's fucking incredible, right? And there's not one day that I want to take that for granted. Not one. Because I know life can change on a dime. So it's really important for us to start looking for those lessons in each and every day. And it's difficult, but the next time you find yourself aimlessly complaining about something, take even just 1 second to just stop and think, God, I'm so grateful for having so many clothes to wear and therefore so much motherfucking laundry to fold right now, right? Add in that little bit of lucidity to your life, especially to those tasks or the day-to-day shit that feels so annoying, and it's really easy for us to just complain about and let that turn into this negative thought cycle. I see so many people just waiting for that magic pill, right? That magic moment or the missing puzzle piece. Once I have this, then everything's gonna fit in together. No, this is living from a place of lack. In that space, you're not finding purpose. You have to believe that you already have everything that you need right now, where you are, as who you are. Ask yourself, how can I appreciate more of what I have right now? Those are the people who are truly happy, and those are the people who are just making the most of every situation, right? They're the ones who are enjoying this journey, because it is a journey. You have to enjoy the ride. And don't be that person who has to, lose that relationship or lose that job, lose that home, or lose that connection before you start truly appreciating the value in it. This comes about with our health a lot too, right? When we're sick, how many of you have been sick and started remembering how much we love our body when it was well, right? That time of year is the winter. We start getting runny noses and thinking about how grateful we would feel if we could just breathe through both nostrils again. It's time to stop waiting to be sick before you're bringing gratitude to your body and all its automatic functions. We're living in this buy now, have now, instant gratification kind of culture, aren't we? And now that it's getting colder, right, one of the things that I've done is I switched out my wardrobe from winter to, from summer wear to winter wear. Sorry, so Colorado is pretty extreme with the temperature drop. We went from like 80-degree heat into a snowstorm over the period of 24 hours. So I start pulling out all my winter things that I'd just totally forgotten about. And just earlier in that day, I'd been moaning about how I don't have enough nice enough stuff to wear, right? And lo and behold, I start wrapping up in the stuff that I have. I went out in the snow to my Bible study group, and then some of the women there started commenting on how pretty my clothes were. You know, oh, I love your winter boots, your sweater looks so cozy. And I started suddenly then feeling different about the value of my clothes and thinking about, you know, what did I even mean earlier when I was saying, like, complaining about I don't have nice enough stuff. And that same day, I'd made a pile of some of my summer clothes, like I said, that I was putting away, and a ton of them I realized I hadn't even worn before, and so I categorized them into this not nice enough thing, but they were still new, so I wanted to have my friends, you know, take a look through some of them. A lot of them brand new. So one of my girlfriends, she took a couple of dresses and different things, and then later she uploads this picture on her Instagram, this story, wearing one of these dresses, right? And she looked so great. She looked incredible. And then suddenly I'm sitting there like, damn, maybe I should have kept a dress like that. So it's all perspective, right? It's something that so many of us struggle with, really getting perspective on a particular situation or those day-to-day situations. So make sure you have a friend that you can talk about this stuff with, if not just someone, even if it's a coach or a random person online. It's much easier for us all to help each other. Sometimes we can take advice or switch up our perspective through talking to someone else. And it's also great if we can do that for ourselves. But just bringing in that value, that awareness, that lucidity surrounding what we do have, it really helps us be better at helping others too, right? So I'd love for you to share with me, you know, what's something that you are struggling with seeing the positive on right now? Is there something eating away at you or stopping you from spending your day lucidly? And if there is, I'd like you to give yourself permission to today share that with me, either in the comments or just send me a message directly. I'm offering my help with this because I know, you know, the language we use about particular situations really does help. It's something that really helped me, and maybe we can come up with a way together that will bring some light into this darkness or into this struggle, or we can rephrase it in a way that it can be so much more of a positive for you. You know, sometimes it's just that job that we stopped appreciating, or a position, or the income that we're making right now. But it's really important to remember that maybe that job that you have that you're complaining about, or the income level that you're at right now, is actually something that another person is praying for, is wishing that they had that situation. There are some things that are irreplaceable. Maybe, you know, it's your husband who sucks at doing the dishes, or it's your moaning teenage daughter, or it's your bossy wife, your overbearing friend. There's only one of those people, so they don't last forever, and there's never going to be another one of them. So don't take it for granted. Stop being so complacent about stuff. See life as this incredible, incredible dream that it is, because one day you might wake up and it might not be the same, for better or for worse. So I think that lucid living practice is really bringing in that greater awareness, that greater clarity to the present moment, really placing value on who you are, where you're at, what you have right now. And type in the chat and share with me, a moment or someone that you're grateful for today. Tag them if it's someone that you're grateful for, and just let them know. And I'm going to be sharing some of mine too. So, listen, the main point of this is that your life is valuable. It can take you to the highest of highs. It can take us to the lowest of lows. But this is not something that's passive. There is more to life than just letting it pass by and kind of being this observer type role. You have an input. You have the ability to make tens of thousands of conscious decisions every single day. And you have the ability to choose whether to complain about a situation or see the goodness in it. It's a choice. You can choose to just live, just survive, or you can choose to live lucidly and truly, truly thrive. So if you're someone looking to bring more lucidity into your life, to dream bigger dreams for yourself, to live with purpose, live with meaning, wanting to share your unique gifts or, develop them, work on yourself, work on something that will really help others. If you're someone who thinks you would really benefit from joining us in the Lucid Entrepreneur Lab this January, which is my 8-week online course, utilizes lucid dreaming and lucid living practices for both business and personal breakthroughs, then do send me a message today if you're resonating with anything that I covered in this episode. Just send me a message. I'm ready to dream big. I'm ready to live lucidly. I'm ready to start speaking that lucid language and truly believing in it, dreaming big, and we can start getting your journey to dreaming, living, working, speaking lucidly started from today. So thank you so much, guys, for tuning in. I really hope you enjoyed today's episode. It was pretty deep. It's kind of different to what I've done before, but if you did find benefit from it, please do let me know in the comments. Again, tag a friend who needs to hear this stuff. It's really important. It's such a simple concept that we often forget about this stuff. We overlook it. Even better, hit that share button and open it up to being received by so many more. I'm Lana Sackwild. Thank you so much for joining me today. I'm wishing you a week full of abundance, lucidity, love, and big dreams.